And we start with news happening today. In just a few hours, the Albuquerque Public School Board will meet in a special session.
Yeah, they're set to decide the fate of the new superintendent, Dr. Luis Valentino. He has been at the center of controversy ever since he took office. News 13's Catherine Mazzone is live at APS headquarters with the very latest. Catherine?
That's right, Adam. The debate stems from the hiring of Deputy Superintendent Jason Martinez, who is now in custody in Colorado, facing child molestation charges. But that's not all. They're also talking about the fact that Martinez was able to stay with the district for months without ever completing a background check.
The first thing I wanted to do was to apologize to the community of Albuquerque for the anger and the frustration that this has caused.
Valentino says he knew nothing of the charges or Martinez's failure to complete a background check. He told News 13 he only learned about that issue twice, once when Martinez was hired and again when he resigned. But the district's HR department has a very different story. Director of Human Resources Karen Rudy says she told Valentino at least 5 times the check wasn't done. Now she's hired a lawyer. But the argument over Martinez's past isn't the only controversy Valentino's faced. There's also the text message he accidentally sent to APS Chief Finance Officer Don Moya saying he was going after him. That's after Moya says Valentino actually offered him the deputy superintendent job. Now Moya is suing, claiming Valentino rescinded the offer after meeting with the governor and education secretary. Now, so far, Stephen Michael Quesada is the only school board member who has called for Valentino to be fired. The others say they will wait to make that decision. Back to you.
That meeting begins at 7 o'clock this morning. Catherine, thank you. We did ask the superintendent whether he would accept a buyout, and we have his answer coming up in our next half hour this morning.
And we turn now to a developing story this morning. We did some checking and found the 18-year-old man arrested in connection with this dangerous stunt that shut down I-25 over the weekend remains locked up this morning. The teen says it started on social media, and that's where we found people using the video to mock police. Take a look at this. Albuquerque police arrested 18-year-old Ivan Guardado Fuentes yesterday, saying he was one of the reckless drivers and that he pointed a gun at innocent witnesses. The teen police arrested says he's not part of any car club, but there is a local club that we are not naming, taking advantage of all the attention, posting more video online, selling t-shirts and mocking police. Police say they'll be making more arrests, and Mayor R.J. Berry added $1,000 to a Crime Stoppers reward just yesterday.
This may be cool to some folks and it may be cool in other parts of the country, but it's not cool in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
So the teen police arrested will be charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Police are not sure how many others were involved in this.
6:05, you have to see this next story to believe it, after some county firefighters found themselves needing a rescue while on call. Here's what happened. A drain system is being installed. This road near Arenal Coors is closed to traffic except for people living in the area and the fire department. Tuesday night, a Bernalillo County fire engine was making its way through the construction zone and got stuck in the soft dirt. County's Public Work Division says it won't be making any changes to that zone, though.
This morning, Josh Duggar is now checked into rehab. The former reality TV star is now a long-term treatment center. According to a post on his family's website, DuggarFamily.com, it is not clear what type of rehab facility he is in. Last week, Josh Duggar apologized after it was revealed he was a user of the cheating website, Ashley Madison. He called himself, quote, the biggest hypocrite ever, end quote. Back in May, Duggar revealed he had molested girls when he was a teen, including some of his sisters.
Happening today, investors on Wall Street are hoping for a repeat of yesterday's rally, which ended 5 days of volatility. On Wednesday, the Dow finished the day up 619 points, its third largest point gain ever. The turnaround here is slowly helping to fuel Asian markets, too, where investors have also been worried about the economic slowdown in China. And some new facts about a recall to tell you about this early hour. Kraft Heinz is recalling 2 million pounds of its Oscar Mayer turkey bacon. Company says it could spoil before the best when used by date. We did post specific dates and also package numbers for you. You'll find those on the KRQE News app.
Ooh, that can be very dangerous. Turn out to this as kids head to class this morning. Some Albuquerque schools are on high alert. This after a bear sighting that had parents at 2 APS schools picking up their kids right at the door. A bear was spotted near John Baker Elementary, that's near Tramway and Comanche. A woman who lives in the area heard the bear first. Listen.
I hear this growl, and I was like, that is not a dog. That is definitely bigger than a dog. And I come over here, and I'm stepping on the stones. I come up here, and this big old paws come up right over on this wall right here, right over here, and it's a bear.
That would be a terrifying sight, right? APS police alerted the school and asked parents to pick up their kids who walk home from school. The bear has not been spotted since and hopefully doesn't return today.
Frightening moments for their happening today. The family of Stephen Garrick, they're giving back to those who serve and protect. He was killed 2 months ago in his Northeast Heights driveway. Police say a group of teens breaking into cars and homes shot him. The family asked for donations instead of flowers, and they're going to donate that money to the APD Chaplains Fund today. They say they want to honor his spirit of giving.
Here's your feel-good story for your Thursday morning. A Milwaukee bus driver is being commended for his act of kindness that went a very long way. So it all started when driver Chris Martin picked up an elderly man on his regular route. When the man needed to make his way to his next stop, the driver did something that shocked his passengers. He got out with the man, walked him to his next stop to make sure that he got on his next bus route. A small act of kindness that's made a big impact on those who actually saw it, and hopefully those that are now hearing a story.
If only more people stop to do stuff like this, you know?
I love those stories like that.
Yeah, it's neat to see.
Great.
Meantime, happening now, APD is investigating an overnight shooting in southeast Albuquerque. Officers on scene tell News 13 2 people were shot at the Madera Court Apartments just before 1 a.m. You can see from this video 2 men were put into ambulances. We're told they were both taken to the hospital. They are expected to be okay. Police are still looking for a suspect in this morning, but they have not released a description. No word on what actually started the shooting. In just 1/2 hour, the Albuquerque Public School Board meets in a special session.
Yeah, they're set to decide the fate of the new superintendent, Dr. Luis Valentino. Valentino has been at the center of controversy ever since he took office. News 13's Catherine Mazzone is at APS headquarters with all the details. Good morning, Catherine.
Good morning, Crystal. Now, the debate stems from the hiring of Deputy Superintendent Jason Martinez, who is now in custody in Colorado facing child molestation charges. Not only that, but the fact that Martinez was able to stay on board with APS without ever completing a background check.
The issue that I would allow for something like that happen, knowing that that could directly impact every student and even my son, would be a ridiculous thing for me to even imagine doing.
Valentino says he knew nothing of the charges or Martinez's failure to complete a background check. He told News 13 he only learned about that issue twice, once when Martinez was hired and again when he resigned. But the district's HR department has a very different story. Director of Human Resources Karen Rudy says she told Valentino at least 5 times the check wasn't done. Now she's hired a lawyer. But the argument over Martinez's past isn't the only controversy Valentino's faced. There's also the text message he accidentally sent to Finance Director Don Moya saying he was going after him. That's after Moya says Valentino actually offered him the deputy superintendent job. Now Moya is suing, claiming Valentino rescinded the offer after meeting with the governor and education secretary. But Valentino says he never made an offer. When we asked whether he'd accept a buyout or asked for one from APS, he says he hadn't thought about it.
I have faith that they will make a decision that will allow me to stay. So, to be honest,
Valentino says he admits he messed up, but says he still believes he can be an effective leader for APS. Back to you.
And that meeting does begin at 7 o'clock this morning. So far, Stephen Michael Quesada is the only board member who's called for Valentino to be fired. The others have said they will wait to make their decision. We'll let you know what happens.
The teachers union is speaking out about the controversy this morning. The union sent an email to its members saying they want Valentino gone. Union President Ellen Bernstein says given the facts that have emerged and still unanswered questions, she doesn't think that Valentino can recover from the crisis. She goes on to say if he does not resign, she anticipates the board will fire him.
And that turns us to news happening today. The man who started all of the controversy, Jason Martinez, he's expected to face a judge in just hours. Police arrested Martinez yesterday morning at a family member's home in Denver. He's facing child molestation charges there. APD says they attempted to arrest Martinez at his Albuquerque home yesterday. They did not find him, though. He's jailed this morning without bond. And remember, we will have full coverage of the school board's decision later today. You can also go to our KRQE News app for the full interview with Valentino and for the timeline of the most recent APS superintendents.
New on this Thursday morning, no class today for students at Tohajali Community School. School officials say that's because heavy rain caused classrooms in the high school and elementary areas to flood. Cleanup is underway. They hope to reopen there by tomorrow. Aztec schools are also closed this morning because of severe flooding. No word on when they will be back open, but there are reports of strong wind and some homes being pushed off their foundations in the area by floodwater. The Red Cross is assessing the damage this morning. Authorities have set up a shelter at the Bloomfield First Baptist Church for anyone who has been displaced.
Turn out to news happening today. President Obama will be in New Orleans visiting those who are still rebuilding, marking 10 years since Hurricane Katrina hit. The hurricane's wrath killed some 1,800 people. The majority of the city was left devastated by floodwaters after levees and flood walls failed. Obama is expected to discuss those issues as well to make sure it does not happen again.
The time is 6:36. Developing this morning, we are learning more about the gunman accused of shooting and killing 2 journalists on live TV. The ATF says 41-year-old Vester Flanagan, who went by Bryce Williams as a reporter, got his guns legally. He's a former employee of WDBJ in Roanoke, Virginia. That's the station that reporter Allison Parker and cameraman Adam Ward were working for when they were gunned down yesterday morning. Williams later shot and killed himself after running from police. People are now placing flowers and balloons outside the station this morning in honor of the journalists. The station just held a moment of silence about 2 hours ago. Parker's father says his daughter died doing what she loved.
It's hard to get your arms around it and realize or try and make sense of why it happened.
The station's general manager says Williams worked there for about a year before he was fired. Both Parker and Ward had run-ins with him, he says.
And our thoughts are with him this morning. We turn on to this developing story. Walmart says it will stop selling AR-15s and other semi-automatic weapons. I know what you're thinking, but the company says the decision is not related to any mass shootings, adding sales are declining and they're doing an overall redesign of the sporting goods department. The company says modern sporting rifles are sold in less than a third of their stores anyway.
Sentencing is delayed for a former FedEx employee, even though he's been convicted of conning 2 men out of $300,000. Police say John Meister was working in Gallup when he asked the victims for money to flip a home, but they never made a profit. In June, Meister pled guilty to racketeering, fraud, and money laundering. In court yesterday, the attorneys decided it was important for Meister to pay restitution before he goes to prison. While that's worked out, his sentencing will wait. He faces 7 years in prison.
So this morning, the number of people asking the city not to fire the APD officer now charged with murder is growing. Their support is for Officer Dominique Perez, one of 2 officers charged in the death of James Boyd.
He was trying to defend his city and the people in his city, and now he's being treated like a criminal, which I think is not right at all.
Perez and now retired APD detective Keith Sandy will go on trial for the shooting death of Boyd last year in the foothills during an hours-long SWAT standoff. Right now, Perez is on paid suspension but could be fired because of the felony charge. Now an online petition with more than 1,200 signatures is asking that Perez be allowed to keep his job until he's proven guilty. The attorney representing the Boyd family says Perez should be fired to show that no one is above the law.